Good afternoon, Miami. My name is Giovanna Garcia-Pons, and I am your behavioral business consultant. I haven't been here in quite a while, but I'm excited to be back and specifically talk to you all about a topic that I have seen a lot and heard a lot pop up in the marketplace. You know, I'm all about health, and I know that health is part of your foundation to your well-being, to pretty much everything. And today I want to have a discussion around this topic that I've seen pop up, and I have a guest today that is going to help us fill in those gaps if you have heard of it, if you haven't heard of it, or if there's any interest at all in you knowing more about it. So with that, and before I introduce you to this topic today, I want to welcome today Dustin. Hi, Dustin.
Hi, Gio. Thanks for having me.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Mangas, or Mangus if we want to, with the influence and people that don't speak Spanish, you can say Mangus.
All right. So, Dustin, you are the managing director of Pure Executive Health and Wellness, correct?
Yeah, we can call it Pure Health for short, but
Pure
yes.
Health. Perfect. And so just like I opened up just now, there's been a topic that has popped up in the market that is very similar to what I would not have considered being what it's coined as, and it's called concierge medicine. So not sure if the audiences have heard of that concept, but I am fascinated by it because I am fascinated by health and I love to know everything about health. So you are one of the first business owners that I met that really have a business around this concept. So one of the first things that I'd like to do is introduce this topic to our audience if they have not yet heard of it, and just talk about in general, what is concierge medicine?
So concierge medicine is a little bit of a different concept than everybody's used to. When you think health and physicians and going to the ER and going to these things, all you do is get this painful point. And a long time ago, before insurances kind of really took over healthcare, there used to be a fee for service and your doctor got to know you. And this is like our parents and our grandparents' healthcare, and that's how it kind of went. So with this happening, there was definitely doctors are seeing more and more patients, and what ended up happening is a lot of physicians and now some larger groups want to hold on to the idea that you should get to know your patient. You should have a relationship with that patient. And so doctors started opting out of insurance or adding a fee on top of insurance, like a membership fee, so they could take less patients and give the time provided and give like this VIP white glove service and get to know patients, see patients same day. And you could text your doctor and have this old school feeling of the doctor that would come to your house with the bag, or you could come in and see that physician the same day. And that is kind of where that came from, is the need to have a more personalized service for medicine.
Okay. So I love how you kind of took us back, and you're correct. If you take a look at how our parents, grandparents grew up, you're right. It was a more customized approach. Tell me a little bit about when did we see this kind of change into, and I don't want to call it transactional, but kind of is, right? Because we're going back to the personalized, relational, caring about the patient and not making them feel like it's either a cattle call or, like our episode is called today, it's beyond the waiting room. It's sitting in the waiting room hours before you get seen. So when did we see that change, do you think?
As physicians started taking on insurances, the whole dynamic in the landscape changed, because the insurances started with one reimbursement and that number keeps getting lower year over year. It also has a lot to do, most of the reimbursements based on Medicare. So as these doctors get squeezed less and less, the overhead either stays the same or gets larger. So they have to see more patients to make up for that. And they're trained in medical school to take care of everyone, no matter what the financial implications are, and do their best to give the best care they can. And there's something really wonderful about that. But when you're seeing 30, 50, 60 patients per day as either primary care or as a specialist, it's very difficult. Think about how much time you have in the day to be able to sit down and really get to know someone and where it comes from. So what they're doing is very quickly going through deductive reasoning, going through, like if you were like in an ER, what's wrong? How do I help? How do I fix this? How do I go? And then quickly figuring out what to do. give you a prescription or some sort of advice and see you back 3 months later. So that's been like the change over time. So they took on the insurances, the reimbursements were good. And as the reimbursements got worse and worse, no matter how good your insurance is, you know, the doctors are making anywhere from, depending on your insurance, but private insurance, $30 to $60 per visit per patient for primary care. And even specialists can be under $100, $30 to $100, depending on what the code is. And so the physicians started getting pretty much locked in by the codes they were billing. And not only that, they need to hire a whole team to be able to deal with the codes. The insurances don't want to pay. They get denied claims. So now they have several other employees that are dealing with the insurances. So again, the overhead went up. And so as that started getting squeezed down, they saw more and more patients to make up for that, to keep their lifestyle, their income going. Yeah. And then the system started to kind of crack.
Yeah. So it sounds like the system got a bit complicated. But what I'm hearing you say, which makes total sense, is this is really related to the burnout of a lot of doctors out there, and taking them away from why they started to practice to begin with, which is purpose-driven and what they really wanted to do. So I love that you said that, because it explains everything now with burnout and why we're seeing more of a gap, I guess, in medical doctors out there leaving their practices. So as we now see this modality popping up in the market, can we talk about a little bit about who is this for? Who's the clientele? Like today, if our audience is listening to this and says, wow, is this right for me? Let's talk about what that clientele, that customer, patient looks like.
You know, I'll talk about someone I ran into at a hotel bar when I was traveling recently, and it was someone that gets paid by the hour. It's an accountant. He's like, yeah, I spend 2 hours, like you said, in the waiting room, and just that in itself would pay for a membership. People that, a few different things. People that don't want to wait. They want to have access. They want to have a personalized relationship with their physician. And people that want to invest in their health, right? Right now, like our healthcare system, I call it the sick care system. People don't want to deal with it, so they wait till they're sick to go somewhere, urgent care, ER, whatever it is, or maybe they have a friend, and that's a doctor or something like that. So it's people that want to invest in their healthcare, and people that don't want to waste time in these waiting rooms and want to make sure they're going to the best physicians, not just the insurance physicians that they're granted. Because that's usually what people do right now. They go onto their insurance plan, they find a physician, and they go to them. And it's not always, you know, what would be recommended for that particular surgery or that particular specialist. So what concierge medicine allows you to do is spend that time, have a preventative approach, or at least try to stabilize whatever conditions you have. And then if you need to see a specialist, that doctor has their own team of collaborators in the area that are usually the best of the best.
Okay. And so that's really the internal medicine portion of it. But there's another side to this, which is the part that really fascinates me and draws my attention, because yes, I want to keep up with my annual visits and preventative care, but there's another side to this that I want you to get into that is also being made available, which is defining the progression of where this concierge medicine is. And that's the other side of it, which is your more, I guess, you would probably be able to coin it because you're the expert, but it's the more precise, distinct wellness of if I want to take care of my body in extra ways, right? Because we've heard of the, you know, whether it's the soreness or IV therapy. Talk to me about that, the wellness side of it, right?
Yeah. So in 2012, when this concept kind of came up, we were thinking of like, well, where's medicine going and what are people missing out on? People spend a lot of money, and we'll call it wellness, and that's why it's pure executive health and wellness. People are spending a ton of money, and it's getting into the trillions, and it's growing year over year. People are looking for alternative ways to treat themselves and get outside of the normal medical system. And so, like I said, it's really an investment in your health and wellness. So wellness can include mental health. It can include optimization of your nutrients, optimization of your recovery, optimization of your genetics. And so the more you're willing to invest in that, you can see all sorts of testing that constantly is being renewed and getting better year over year of how do I optimize myself. We can look at inflammatory markers with different foods. not only just the inflammatory markers that your body produces from like an internal medicine standpoint. And what our doctors have time to do is to bring all this data together and make sure that we're trying to avoid any issues that could come up in the near future or the future in general. And also, how do we optimize you now for the next few decades, right? So, there's been some interesting finds in some of these genetic tests that some of our patients have done. We do whole genome sequencing, we've done cancer sequencing, and then we realize like you have more of a propensity to have certain disease states or certain cancers. And so what we do is make sure that we're constantly checking for that, although that would normally be in normal medicine, would be kind of like, oh, I don't feel good. And then accidentally or something happens and you end up finding out about something, which just happened to one of my friends right now. Is they went in for a random test and then they found a cancer and they're actually going through surgery this week. So like sometimes you get lucky, right? Yeah. But what we're trying to do is reduce that luck and make it more of a data-driven thing, right? And so we can look at different things, different lifestyles, and different functional integrative medicine. And we bring in precision medicine. And these doctors have all this ability to really provide, this is what I would do, and this is what you should do. And let's do this test to figure this out and take that measure and bring it all together. So if you're tired all the time, we can do, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, look at the nutrients you're doing, look at the food you're taking in. Bring on a nutritionist if necessary, and then also look at your normal internal medicine markers and your heart and all the different organs that could be potentially go through like a series of thought processes to figure out how do we make you feel better? How do we give you more energy, right? Not just like, oh, you're getting old, like thing, which nobody wants to hear, by the way.
My response to that is, wow. Okay, just from that, you gave a lot of information, and there's so many things that just caught my attention of what you said. But I think the biggest thing is that it's a customized approach. It's individualized. You don't go through a system now that kind of just checks the box like, okay, blood pressure, great. Draw blood, great. It really goes into you, the patient, which then the experience, and you just explaining that, I think, wow, there's an emotional connection, there's a physical connection with my relationship that now I'm going to have with my doctor and this practice, because it's just not the doctor, it's about everybody else that's a part of it. It's almost as if you're creating your total health and wellness team to cover you from A to Z. Would you say that?
Correct.
Okay.
And we often explain that we're the quarterback of your health. So if you need a dermatologist, we're going to find you the best dermatologist for whatever you need that dermatologist for, right? We're constantly bringing that together. And it's meant to be like a wonderful experience. And just to like piggyback on you brought up IVs. Like I do an IV weekly.
Okay.
We have like pre-formatted IVs that have been like looked inside and out with our medical director. And like I add some customized items to those IVs because I know by doing some of these advanced tests that I have less magnesium. My body goes through magnesium extremely quickly. I'm on, pharmaceutical grade magnesium, but I still need some more, right? So I tailor make that for my health, right? And I do that every week. So we have some things that are like, here's a format, you're going to feel great from this, but we can get really into it and see exactly what you're missing out on. Like, and then that allows you to live optimally.
Yeah. I love that because you're getting down to the root cause. You're really getting into the detail, which I think is important because you're right. That's part of the frustration as a patient going in and you just get general information. We know that health itself is a huge bucket that can be very overwhelming. You don't know where to start. And so knowing that you have direction and someone that can guide you when you don't know the answers and lead you in the right direction so that you're prepared for everything, I think is so important. And I love that you all do that. I want to talk about more specifically about Pure, your business, Pure Health, because concierge medicine out there also is specialized on certain things. So talk to me now specifically, who is Pure Health and what do you do? What do you specialize in?
So Pure Health is a concierge medical practice. It didn't start that way, by the way. It used to be fee for service. And then after COVID, the physicians just helped so many people and people realized health was so important that our growth was just exponential instead of excellent. And we were trying to figure out how to continue to give the best service possible. So we had to take on less patients and go to a membership model just because we were over 2,000 patients. We went from a little over 1,000 to almost 2,200 patients in a year and a half.
Wow.
And so patients had an expectation, and we were already giving the VIP concierge treatment. And so we moved to a membership model. And so Pure, for a while, it takes a while to grow a cash-based practice. And Dr. Miranda took the helm of that. And then after COVID, with the astronomical growth, I had to kind of come on and take board, help out. And so what Pure is it's an experience. It's a medical experience. You feel like it's family. You can have conversations with your physicians. It's not just about your blood pressure. It's about what's stressing you out. They're going to ask what kind of job you have, if you have stress at the house, if you have stress anywhere else, and different things that can come into your lifestyle that might be triggering some of these markers and things of that nature. And we have two of the most incredible physicians. We're so lucky that just so happen to have wonderful resumes. They went to some of the top schools in the nation and in the world, and their bedside manners are so wonderful. And we saw this opportunity a while ago because I was in medical sales, and there were some handful of physicians doing it, and they really were wonderful. And then you could see the other side of a handful of physicians that were just getting overwhelmed with the patients and that had a rougher time. And so it started off that way, and Dr. Miranda took a 2-year course at University of Miami to do functional medicine. And then as technology's gotten better and better, we brought in and are constantly looking at, do we have the best genetic tests? Do we have the best panel for this? Is this the best inflammatory test, which we test out on ourselves? And so a lot of our family members are doing our tests. We're not just talking about this in the community. I've done food inflammatory tests. I've done, genetics. I've done, I believe in it. And we look at the data and we bring that in. And not only do we do it on ourselves and our family and our employees, but we also offer it to our patients. And it's just been this wonderful, wonderful thing. And we're constantly trying to get better for our patients and experience. And it's been great because they give us the same feedback of how we can improve or some things they want. And we've had like a lot of patients come in from out of state. And there's a lot of doctors doing some different things out there. And then we look into it and then we'll bring it on. So we're constantly adapting to do what's best for our patients and give the best experience for them, and also the best data-driven medical attention they can get.
And I have to add, and I get to call this out because you mentioned Dr. Miranda, and I get to call out that you guys are a power couple. You're the operations, and she's the patient. She's the CEO, the front person who takes in, of course, the experience of the patient and all of that. So love that you guys are this amazing duo and on the cutting edge of what is a transformation, right? We're really in transition of where health is going, and you're educating. You guys are involved in the community. I see you out all the time. And so kudos to the two of you, because I know that running a small business isn't easy. We know we have a lot of small business owners out there. So if I may put you on the spot, yes, we're talking concierge medicine, but let's talk a little bit about, you are a community-based business, and talk about your challenges, what you really love. Let's get away a little bit from the medicine part, and let's talk about you as a business owner and what you love.
I love the challenges.
Okay.
And there are challenges. There's a lot of challenges with hiring for a very long time. Although the U.S. jobs report may not agree with me right now, but it was hard to find people that were motivated and willing to work. And no matter what business owners I've spoken to, whether in medical or non-medical, that's been a problem for a long time, right?
Okay.
And so when you're dealing with certain clientele, you have to give this experience. So we're constantly trying to find the best employees. So it's like almost like we're always hiring and always. And what we've had to do in these last few years is almost overhire, just because we knew we were hiring ahead of our growth.
Okay.
So that's been a difficult challenge to kind of go over. As medicine's evolving and concierge medicine is evolving, and because so many people are moving here, and so many doctors are having physician burnout, they're looking for alternative ways to make money. And so we're seeing a lot of these concierge practice start to pop up now. And so that has been really interesting too. There's a need for it. There's a lot of people moving here that are used to getting this kind of service. And so with that being said, you want to make sure you're doing your best and staying on top of your A game. So I would say that's something we're constantly adapting and creating and trying to optimize our experience for our patients. And I would say those are some of the business things. The other, finding help has probably been the hardest thing, and we've been really lucky. And we will hold off hiring until we find someone we think could either learn or already knows how to do things. And the staff has picked up the slack when we have a hole in our staff. Because we don't have the staff necessary. And they've just worked really hard. But I would say that's been probably one of the hardest business things. I mean, what else are you hearing out there?
Because that's what I hear commonly, right? It's really being staffed with quality and someone that you want to invest in that is their longevity. And you all do an excellent job of that. And truly, what I believe is on how businesses, small businesses, or even large, any business, is an approach that I think is going to start picking up a little bit more. And that's really after coming off of the pandemic and how people are really more concerned about what's in it for me, how am I doing, what my well-being is. How do you kind of merge your business into a hybrid of, yes, it's an employee, but how do you also take care of your employee at the same time? Because it's integrated, their life and what they're doing.
And we're seeing, and there was just an article in the Wall Street Journal about this, about Generation Z and their expectations of the workplace. And we've seen a change and a shift in the way people want to work and how they want to be spoken to. And I think that's also been a culture change and a managerial change over time for us, is like, how are we inclusive of everybody's ideas and how do we build a team-based approach? I mean, this is a good time to be talking about this. This is the Olympics. We were talking about rowing. If anybody's off in rowing, that boat is not going anywhere. The same with volleyball or any team sports. If someone's off, like the whole system breaks down, right? So we've been trying to figure out how, and we have figured out, how do you change that? How do we get people to talk and bring their best ideas forward? And so that's been kind of how we've made people feel at home working there. Because without our staff, we're not building that experience for that patient, right? And then what you'll see a divide, and I hear this from a lot of concierge doctors, is you'll see a divide in, well, the staff's okay, but I love my doctor, and they don't go away. But over time, as this becomes more competitive and we get more intelligent on how we're treating our members and our patients, we have to really understand how is our staff showing our experience off too. And that was one of our huge conversations early on. And how do you make sure you continue to improve that? And I think that's really difficult. And I've been very fortunate. I talked about this the other day. I've had some really bad bosses. You know who you are.
As I have too. We can talk about that.
But I realized over time, I'm super thankful for it. And because they pushed me into becoming more entrepreneurial and not wanting to have to rely on that structure. And then the second thing is, like, I never, ever want to feel like I'm treating somebody this way. And so we figured out a way not to make people feel that way. And I've had to, I wouldn't use the word forcefully, but come on, you can talk. It's okay. I swear, I want to hear your advice. I want to hear your opinion. You're the person that deals with this thing 80% of the time. If you know how to make it better, or you have an opinion, or we're not doing it well, or it's not working for you, let me know so we can make it better for everybody. And so we've kind of given everybody mini leadership roles, and who does this best? Or now the staff is saying, so-and-so had a great week last week, or they dealt with this little issue, or this patient was out of the country, and whatever that may have been. And people are like giving praise to the staff, where I think what ends up happening most of the times in a lot of corporations and even in small businesses is everybody's fighting off their own little piece of land, but we're working on making it collaborative and letting everybody know this is a safe opportunity for you to make us a better machine for everyone. And our goal is to treat our patients and give them the best experience possible. I know I have the doctors, and Dr. Young as well. Wonderful. What a find. And it took me a year to find her. And then we have wonderful providers, but now it's like, okay, and I ask because a lot of our staff may or may not, I can't talk about it, HIPAA, ask the doctors about their health, about their family's health, and they trust them. So they believe in them. Now it's like, okay, you believe in them. Now you have to show everybody that this is like, you deserve this experience. You deserve what all these patients have. And you deserve the experience from when you call, when you walk in that door to when you leave. And it's become a collaborative process. And we're constantly working on it, by the way. This is not easy.
No, of course. It's never ending. It's a constant work in progress. And you're touching on something that's I'm very passionate about, which is the behavioral part of business, because it comes down to your employees. It doesn't matter about your product or service if you're not focused and paying some attention to that behavioral piece. And believe me, we could talk about that over and over and over and just go into a complete different tangent on that. But I want to make sure that our audience, number one, understands, concierge medicine, who Pure Health is, how can they contact you if they have any questions, inquiry, like where do they start if they're just curious? Number one, how do they contact you, how they can get a hold of you? And I think we may put even something on the screen with the reference on the phone number or even Dustin's email if you want to contact them. But go ahead.
Well, if you want to contact me, the email will be there. The office is there. I promise you, if it's me personally, they'll text me and be like, Dustin, somebody wants to talk to you. And they always do that. They're wonderful. If you wanted more information on Concierge Health or anything like that, visit our website. You can write us through our website, call or text us on our office line. We have many different forms of communication, and that's also always getting better too. But yeah, those are going to be the easiest ways. For me, email. If it's urgent, call the office.
Of course. And they're running the number as we speak on the screen, so they have it. But I think the message is don't be shy, right? No. Don't be afraid to ask the questions, because it's your health, it's you're setting yourself up for longevity. It's important. We know what's happening.
If you're 50 years old right now and you're not getting your blood work done and you want to be healthy at 70, that work starts today. Like, just like you're successful in business, it took you years and years to get where you are. It took a decade to learn your craft and get really good. What you build your foundation in health is going to be what continues for the next decade, 2, 3, 4, 5 decades. And there's a lot of, thank goodness, there's a lot of people finally coming out there, our MDs, and are talking about longevity, coming out with these books. And people are starting to understand, what can I do? Now you need to find a provider that you work with, that you can click with, that can really help you get to those goals. But the longer you wait, the harder it is. Don't wait till you feel sick. Don't wait till you're gasping for air. I was in the sauna earlier today, and one guy was talking about how someone went from the sauna to the cold plunge, and it messed with may have messed with the electricity of the heart. I'm like, dude, you're talking like one of the most specialized doctors there is out there that deals with the electric and does implants on the heart. And this is what people come up with. Don't wait for that to happen. That person, I heard in the sauna today, ended up passing. Like, you don't want to wait for feeling sick, because that's normally what we do. And we do sick care. Go get your checkup, whether it's with us or someone else. Find a way to either educate yourself online if you don't want to pay the membership fee. I understand, not everybody can do that, and that's okay. But make sure you start taking care of your health, because you want to be there for your family, your grandkids, or you just want to live life. Like, it's the most important thing you can do. You can't work, you can't do anything if you're not healthy. And so it should be everybody's priority. But we just have become, not only doctors are getting burnt out, but we were talking about this yesterday with a colleague and I. Patients are burnt out. Patients get like, oh my gosh, I have to go to my doctor. It shouldn't feel like that. It does not have to feel like that. And as medicine starts to evolve, people are going to start looking for alternative ways and alternative experiences. And I know not everybody knows about this one, but this is a really great opportunity for you to really take control of your health. And I have nothing but confidence in what we do. And there's some other wonderful physicians in the area. And if you want to talk to me about that too, I'm fine to say that too. But it's really an opportunity for you to take control of that. And without that, like, health is wealth, and it's a little cliche, but it really is. Yeah. And so that, I think, everybody should really take that and run with that. But yeah, I love talking about this, obviously. I'm super passionate about it. I've been in medicine, some form, either sales or something else, for a long time now. And I get to play in a field that is really important to me, because I do want to be here for my grandkids. I want to be able to pick them up. And to me, I'm starting to put that work in now.
Absolutely.
for the next 30 years.
You could not have said it any more perfect to summarize us for our talk today. And it's really making people aware of, hey, let's take the first step now. Don't wait. Whether it's yourself, your business, Dr. Miranda available at Pure Health. You guys are around. And if you haven't heard yet, it's the concierge medicine you may or may not be aware of today. But hopefully today you took something away that increased your knowledge, just made you a little bit more aware of it. And we cannot emphasize anymore, very similar to piggybacking off of what Dustin said, Managing Director for Pure Health, in that it's better to give attention to your wellness now rather than being forced to pay attention to your illness. I am Giovanna. It was great to be back on the Miami Community News, and